So, one of the videos, which is called Something They Don't Tell You About ECAA, just blow up, which is kind of like out of my expectation recently. But I realized that you guys really have been trying to prepare for the Oxbridge test and stuff. So today I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about how to prepare for the interview, even though there is still a few months to wait. Hi guys, this is Chaplin. If you don't know me before, I got into Chicago for early decision too, but I also got into Cambridge. This is the reason why I'm talking about it today, but it just does not make sense, right? In this channel, I'll be sharing with you guys college application content, live vlog, or some of the reflections I have recently. If you're interested, please subscribe, and that will show much love to me and give me some motivation to do future work. So in this video, I'll be going through a ton of things. First, I'll be talking about what exactly is Cambridge interview and some of the things you might need. Then I'll talk specifically about what are the interviewers looking for and what you might be asked during the interview. Then I'll provide you with some suggestion on how to prepare for the question and some of the kind of like more personal suggestions I would give for you guys. So let's dive into it. So firstly, what exactly is Cambridge interview and why would they have such a process? So basically after you submit all the application as well as your paper test, they have a general idea of how smart you are or how capable you are to be as a student in their school. But there's one thing that they are still doubting, like they know that you are smart, but they do not know whether you'll be a successful student in their school. What does that mean? Like the way you communicate with the teachers, the way you think about things, the way you learn. Do you learn with other people or you just need to like be by yourself? Right? So from the interview, you'll have this kind of like opportunity to talk with the professors and let them see like how you learn and how you think. So there are a few things that I need to point out which I kind of scraped from the websites. First thing is that not all candidates who are interviewed will be successful or made an offer of a place, so it is not guaranteed. An interview will not guarantee everything. Instead, I believe that from one of the, I don't really know the source, but from something that I saw online, it shows that probably 1/5 to 1/4 of the applicants who receive an interview will be offered an offer. Does that make sense? But all those who made an offer will be interviewed. So it's quite important to get an interview. And the second quote I get is, in 2021 and 22, we'll be interviewing all shortlisted applicants virtually. So it is, in Zoom or whatever thing. With interviews usually take place in December. So probably 2 months after your paper test, you would do this interview. Even though I'm kind of like structuring everything for economics, I've kind of realized that this like whole video can actually be seen for other subject students. So watch on. What do you need? You'll basically need a quiet location, a device with a webcam and microphone, a good internet connection, and a pen and paper. Yeah, 5 seconds is enough for this section. Okay, so what exactly are they looking for from this interview? The most important thing is that you need to understand they are not trying to have a question to test you, like how much knowledge you know. Instead, they want to know what do you think. From the Cambridge interview undergraduate website, I saw this. The main focus of interviews is to explore your academic potential, motivation, and suitability for your chosen subjects. Questions are designed to assess your first problem-solving abilities. So basically, how you try to approach a problem, not necessarily whether you get the answer or not, but the process that you try to like solve the problem. Second, assimilation of new ideas and information. So how quickly or how well you would need to like understand some concept, would you relate it to some things you've learned before, or would you relate it to something like an incident or some news that you just learned recently, right? And the third thing, intellectual flexibility and analytical reasoning. So basically when you're trying to understand something, you give your logic or your understanding and you expressed it really thoroughly and clearly to the professors that are interviewing. One thing that I need to point out is that I believe that every student would have such ability, but it is the point where you need to practice to express all those things fluently to professors so that they understand that you have those skills. So don't just have it inside you. That just does not make sense in an interview. So what you'll be asked are these two things. They're discussion based, so basically you'll be asking about questions that should lead to, kind of like interactions between you and the professors. So the first field of questions will be related to your application content. So basically your personal statement. They might ask about some of your activities. They might ask some of your research paper or your ambitions or what you want to do in the college. And the second thing would be, some questions that are specifically related to what you learn about this course. For me, economics, right? Probably some math-related questions or some just discussion-based questions. But because we have an agreement, so I'm not allowed to actually tell you guys what exact question I was asked during the interview. But in general, I want to tell you guys that I did not manage to answer all of the questions, and I did not manage to get everything right. I just tried to talk through my logic and let them understand that I'm thinking while they're talking to me. So what should you actually do to prepare for the interview? First, when you receive an interview invitation, research your interviewers. So how they look, what they're interested in, or what they are currently doing their research topics. This actually gives you a sense of like who will be interviewing you. You are not interviewed by a stranger, and you're there prepared to meet someone kind of like you know them, but they actually don't know you. You know what I'm saying? Meeting someone you admire and not freaked out at the same time. The second thing is to prepare for the course-related questions. So you should actually read more topics that interest you. You may even come to the interview with a specific topic that you would like to talk about. You would not necessarily answer those things in your questions, but you might try to relate those things when you're actually talking about other content. It just depends on like how you talk. And sometimes the professors, they might just come into silence and you can ask something like that. So for example, for me, even though Cambridge is more about macroeconomics, I'm still really interested in behavioral economics, which is a little bit like micro, and I'm really prepared to talk about that when I came to the interview. Another thing that you should prepare for your course-related question is to prepare, talking about the subject that you're trying to apply for. For economics, maybe find a Cambridge alumni that graduated from your high school or your economic teacher and try to, have one or two questions out and try to talk to them about your logic and see if they understand. The question you find can be a lot of things. It can be just some of the past questions that you find online. Some illegal website, they just put up things like that. I'm not responsible for it, and you're not. Just to try to learn about a new concept you never know before. You can actually use some of the competition resources to try to see if you can express your logic or reasoning out fluently. Or it can also be some current issues, so news, whether you can try to talk about the news. All these questions, they are not there to, let you get an answer. The point is not to have an answer out. The point is to see how much you can learn, how much you can relate, and how much you can express. So when you're actually answering those questions, try to relate as much concepts as possible and to show that you know, or you can try to find a way to someplace. Not necessarily the correct way. You can even ask the professor's question when you're having, some kind of problem when you're thinking about it. I really suggest you to ask the professor's problem because, don't be afraid to ask the professor's questions because every year they've seen thousands of students and those students are not as smart as them and they understand that and that's the point of being a professor. You need to be smart than other people and you kind of enlighten them. So it is kind of like their not job, but they would love to enlighten you with their own knowledge. So don't be afraid to ask that question and think that maybe it will show your stupidity or something like that. You can also try to prepare for your written application. So read your personal statement and think of some questions that they might ask you. The goal or ambition you mentioned in your personal statement, or the research projects, or any activities that you mentioned in the personal statement. Just to be as clear as possible, so when they ask you something, you don't need to rethink it up again and then answer them. So before I leave, I really like to give you guys some of the sincere and more personal suggestions from my own experience. So the first thing is just definitely don't be afraid when you don't know the answer to the question. It is meant to be hard for you, and it's meant to let you try to think and express what you know when you're approaching something that you don't entirely know. So just try to talk as much as possible, try to explore as much as possible, relate to every single knowledge that you might know, or relate to every single pieces of concept or piece of news that you know. Just let them understand that you're someone who are capable of learning or capable of relating, instead of someone who just try to think inside themselves and not let other people understand that. Letting them understand your stream of thought is the key. And the second thing is just be yourself, be who you are when you're actually at some of the random class in your high school, and don't be afraid to answer or ask any question. Just treat them as a really valuable teacher you would have in your high school, instead of someone who is really admirable, or who is really high up and not approachable. It's just a great opportunity to learn, in spite of the fact that they're interviewing you to get into a really prestigious college. And the third suggestion is to take this as an opportunity to learn more about one of the schools that you might attend. At the same time, the professors are asking you questions and wanting you to respond to them with tons of knowledge. You are also one who needs to retrieve some information. So in the last 5 minutes, when they ask you, do you have any questions for me, don't be afraid to ask anything. Ask about them research topic, ask about how they teach during school, ask about Cambridge, ask about the college itself, anything. They would be pleased to answer your question, and they might even be intrigued by the fact that you're interested in their life. And the last suggestion is just to have fun. Even though this might be intimidating because it's one of the most prestigious college and you just have one chance of taking this interview, this stress might not help a lot of people to get through the whole process. Instead, if you just try to consider it as an opportunity to learn and have fun with the best scholars in the world, you would be amazed by how this short class went and how you have fun during the interview process. So don't stress out and just have fun. So in the description below, I also provide you guys with some of the websites to consult. If you like this video, please subscribe to me and keep up with my other videos. So that's very much for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this, subscribe it again and show some support to me. I would really love to see that. In the next video, I'll be talking to you guys about how exactly I got rejected by LSE. What exactly is the whole name for LSE? London School of Economics. I would invite some of my friends who got into LSE and see how they think of my essay and application materials and how they think I was rejected. So stay tuned to that, and I'll see you the next time.